Senate is about Nigeria and Nigerians. Any agencies of the government that refuse to comply and do all that is necessary should be ready to have a zero budget.
The Senate cautions MDAs against undermining 2024 budget cycle.
In Egypt, which is in Africa here, the best hospital in Egypt is the one the president attends, and is open to the public.
Also, Senate wants the new State House Hospital to be accessible to ordinary Nigerians. A warm welcome to you for joining us on our program Inside the Senate, where we bring you reports on activities in the Red Chamber of the National Assembly and its members. Tonight on the program, we shall bring you reports on a one-day retreat on the 2024 Appropriation Bill for MDAs and other stakeholders, organized by the Senate Committee on Appropriations. We shall also look at other reports from committee rooms as MDAs defend their 2024 budget before relevant committees. I am Aisha Mohammed Ahmed, your anchor on the program, urging you to stay tuned as the program unfolds.
Promote the unity, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria.
The Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023.
This act should be supported by all. There are issues that we must use this opportunity to critically address.
We accord this motion the urgency and the necessity it requires.
I raise the second motion.
The ayes have it.
Thanks for staying tuned. The Senate Committee on Appropriations has organized a one-day retreat for MDAs, stakeholders, and others on the 2024 budget. The event, which took place on Tuesday, 5th December 2023 at the National Assembly, had in attendance lawmakers, ministers, and heads of government departments and agencies. It explored the theme, Budget and Budgetary Process, Improved Outcomes in 2024. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, while making his remarks at the event, stressed that Nigeria will not achieve much except there is funding to do so. He therefore urged government revenue-generating agencies to intensify their efforts in generating the necessary funds to finance the 2024 budget.
But the icing on the cake will be the implementation of the budget itself. My message is very simple. Revenue drive, and revenue drive. We cannot achieve much unless all the revenue agencies rise to the occasion. So no matter how beautiful the budget is, if there is no money to spend, the budget will not work.
The Senate President commended the chairman and members of the Appropriation Committee for opening up the 2024 budget process for stakeholders' engagement while expressing confidence that such continuous partnership and deliberation would add substantial value to the nation's legislative work of enacting laws for good governance and the interest of the people. Presenting the budget at the retreat, Finance Minister Wale Edun explained that the global economic shock has depleted Nigeria's fiscal space. He emphasized the need for the country to explore affordable and concessional sources of financing, particularly in climate financing, to alleviate the burden on debt service and borrowing.
But Nigeria's fiscal space is exhausted, and the solution, as you probably heard earlier today, is that we have to focus on the concessional funding, the cheaper funding, the even free funding, and climate financing is the way.
Edwin, who highlighted the urgency of addressing the fiscal constraints and reducing dependence on borrowing, particularly foreign borrowing, pointed out that an estimated $1 trillion annually is to be spent on climate change. He also emphasized the significance of climate financing in funding the 27.5 trillion naira 2024 budget.
Just yesterday, Dubai, UAE announced $30 billion for climate action. Another $1.5 billion was announced by another grouping. And what that means is that as we look to fund the 7.5 trillion budget this year, our first port of call must be the cheapest and the most concessionary financing, including climate financing.
There was a short lecture on identification of processes to guide the desired achievement in 2024 budget. It was delivered by Professor Ayo Tabia of the University of Ibadan. He gave an appraisal of the 2023 budget as well as the 2024 proposals. Professor Ayo Tariba, however, cautioned that tax revenue generation should not be the main focus of government, but that efforts should be tailored towards attracting foreign direct investment to increase revenue streams to the nation.
A significant fraction of the capital budget is not achieved.
In his closing remarks, Senator Solomon Olamilekan, chairman of the Committee on Appropriations, warned that MDAs that failed to turn up to defend their budgets would be given zero allocation for the year.
Both the House and the Senate will have a joint sitting. So there will be no need for you to come to the Senate and go to the House of Reps. But after putting this in place, any agencies of the government that refuse to comply and do all that is necessary should be ready to have a zero budget, because there will be no opportunity to allow anybody to defer any time that he or she has been scheduled for.
That was a report of the retreat organized by the Appropriation Committee to critically analyze the 2024 budget. Let's now take a break to open the Senate notebook. Please stay tuned.
Budget defense exercise is a legislative process whereby heads of ministries, departments, and agencies appear before legislative committees to justify annual allocations made to their establishments. It entails convincing lawmakers that the funds appropriated will be judiciously utilized. Where corruption, inefficiency, and waste in the administration and utilization of appropriated funds are discovered, Section 88, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended empowers the National Assembly to expose such.
Welcome back. As the National Assembly prepares to pass the 2024 Appropriation Bill submitted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu 2 weeks ago, the lawmakers, through their various committees, have played host to heads of MDAs and their teams in the budget defense exercise ongoing. Our crew brings us reports from some committee rooms where heads of MDAs have appeared before joint Senate and House committees to iron out issues in their respective budgets. The report is compiled and presented from our studio. Please keep watching.
On behalf of the entire Federal Ministry of Justice,
on Monday, the 4th of December 2023, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice and his team were present before the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters at the National Assembly Complex to make a presentation in defense of the ministry's 2024 budget. Chairman of the committee, Senator Tahir Monguno, said the 10th Senate will work closely with the Office of the AGF with a view to reviewing the laws of the Federation.
Laws are not supposed to be static. They are supposed to be like an organic instrument that is supposed to change with the changing nature of society. And the Senate has observed that most of our laws are obsolete, and there is a need for us to review these laws to bring them in tandem with the realities of today's society. So very soon we will be calling upon the Office of the Attorney General to work closely with the committee with a view to delivering on the mandate that is given to the committee by the Senate.
Making his presentation, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, noted that upon assuming office, he realized that the justice sector is underfunded.
The critical sector requires significant investments for us to drive the much-needed legal and judicial reforms, achieve satisfactory compliance with human rights, democratic governance, the rule of law, and so on. In His Excellency's budget speech, emphasis was placed on defense, security, law enforcement, property and investment, among other critical areas. These are areas wherein the relevance and role of the Federal Ministry of Justice are being underestimated.
Reviewing the performance of the 2023 budget, Fagbemi said that 3.32 billion naira only was allocated as capital budget and 4.68 billion naira only as recurrent. He noted that only 617.45 million naira only was released for the capital expenditure, while 2.73 billion naira for recurrent was released. This, he said, has greatly constrained the performance of the ministry in its mandate areas.
Greater funding is required to increase the capacity and boost the morale of State Council through regular payment of digital allowance, robe allowances, and so on and so forth. The professional fees of the private solicitors also need to be settled. The ministry is also involved in defending the country in international litigation and arbitration, which by their very nature are very expensive to prosecute or defend in terms of payment of administrative fees to tribunals.
He expressed the ministry's determination to achieve a paradigm shift. On the 2024 budget, the minister indicated that the ministry has been allocated 5.34 billion naira as capital expenditure and 8.860 billion naira as recurrent expenditure. The AGF stressed that Nigeria will get the maximum performance out of the Justice Ministry if it is well funded. With no further comments from the committee, the AGF was permitted to take his leave. On Wednesday, the 6th of December 2023, the Senate Committee on Special Duties hosted the State House for its budget defense. Chairman of the committee, Senator Shehu Kaka, stated that the 10th Assembly is not going to do business as usual for MDAs.
We started with the presidency because we want Nigerians to know that the 10th Senate under the leadership of distinguished Senator Godswill Obot Akpabio is a corrective Senate, and that no MDA would be spared from defending its budget. And we are starting from the number one office of the land, that is the presidency.
Now, the fuel cost.
Permanent Secretary of the State House, Mr. Funsho Adebi, disclosed that the 2024 budget was aimed at consolidating the gains recorded in 2023. He added that the total budget of the State House in 2023 was 21.1 billion naira, while the 2024 budget has an estimate of 76.1 billion naira. He disclosed that one of the factors that accounted for the increase in the 2024 budget was the foreign exchange rate, general cost of operations, including fueling of vehicles for operational purposes.
There are many factors that affect this increase. Number one is the exchange rate of some of the things you'll be buying. Number two, I want to explain something here. As part of the drive of Mr. President in ensuring service delivery, accountability, and fast-tracking infrastructural development, the number of SAs appointed appear high. Apart from ministerial team who has targets to meet, he now appointed SSAs to serve as watchdog to ensure compliance with his standing instructions.
He said one of the projects of the State House was the completion of the new State House Hospital, saying that the hospital will be one of the best in Africa when commissioned.
I want to delightfully state that the construction of the Presidential VIP wing, which was officially flagged off the 1st of November 2021, has already been commissioned 17th May 2023 and has since commenced operation.
we are seated here.
Kaka urged all other MDAs under the oversight of the committee to emulate the prompt response of the State House in appearing for the budget session.
Other MDAs should emulate from you. The office of the president is the #1 office in the land. We started this budget defense with you. So we want other MDAs to emulate the office of the president by coming to the National Assembly to defend their budget in line with the presidential directive and what the Constitution provided.
A member of the committee, Senator Muhammad Ogoshi Onawo, urged the permanent secretary to ensure that the new hospital, when completed, was not only made available for use by top personalities alone, but also ordinary Nigerians.
In Egypt, which is in Africa here, the best hospital in Egypt is the one the president attends, and it's open to the public. I attended that. You can walk in there and get treated. As such, we would want a situation where the best medical center that will cater for our most important persons is the State House. And so I will not say much until when the chairman brings us to see it. And we are going to hold you to your word, and we'll compare it to some of those we have seen in Africa.
In another committee room, the National Assembly Joint Committee on Army, led by the chairman, Senator Abdul Aziz Yaradua, and Representative Mahmoud Abdullahi, hosted the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, and some principal officers of the Nigerian Army for their budget defense. Senate Committee Chairman on Army, Senator Abdul Aziz Yaradua, noted that a country's development depends also on the strength of its military.
Any country that wants to develop must first develop its military power, because it is the military power that stands in defense of that country, and that country must, as a matter of importance, spend money to ensure that it has a military that is of international standard. If we look at the budget of our military spending today and compare it with the budgets of other countries very close here in Africa, we realize that the money we are spending on our military and the armed forces is nothing comparable to what other countries, especially in Africa, are spending.
Senator Yaradua also commended the Army Chief and his team for taking responsibility over the unfortunate killing of residents of Tudunbiri community in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State by military airstrikes on Sunday, the 3rd of December, 2023.
These are times for sober reflections, and we know in the military, of which I am part of, incidents like this do occur, especially in times of war. It could be human error, it could be system error.
What I mean
also speaking, Chairman of the House Committee on Army, Representative Mahmoud Abdullahi, pledged the support of the National Assembly to ensuring the adequate funding of the military.
We are concerned about the resources that are inadequate for your operations. We want to assure you that we will, within our limits, look at the budget critically and see how best we could enhance it to be able to meet up with your requirements, to be able to safeguard the territory of Nigeria. What I mean is that we'll do our best to look at the budgets, look at the loopholes, make sure that we save some other costs to be able to provide for you to discharge your constitutional responsibility for protecting the lives of Nigerians.
What happened in Tudunbiri?
In his presentation, Lieutenant General Lagbaja reiterated the Army's commitment to serving the Nigerian people.
And in the Army, we have every tongue and tribe represented. And so it will be out of place for people who are recruited from the same community to intentionally go out to cause harm on members of the same community. What happened in Todombiri, Igabi, local government area of Kaduna State on 3rd of December this year was an error that the leadership and every personnel of the Nigerian Army regrets. And we are working to ensure that that does not repeat itself going forward.
A budget of 787.2 billion naira for the 2024 fiscal year was presented by the Army with a personnel cost of 647.5 billion naira, 31.6 billion naira for overhead, and 107.9 billion naira for expenditure.
My command philosophy is designed to rest on 3 pillars, which are leadership, operational effectiveness, and sound administration. These pillars are geared towards ensuring a disciplined and professional force. And to achieve this discipline and professional force, we need to continually transform the Army, professionalize the Army, and this requires funding by the government.
Earlier, the committee observed a minute's silence in honor of victims of the unfortunate incident at Todombiri community.
Rest in perfect peace.
That was a highlight of the budget defense by some MDAs in the week under review as compiled and presented from our studios. Next on our program is the profile segment. Sit back as we introduce to you our Senator of the Week.
Senator Chief Osita Ungu represents Enugu West Senatorial District in the 10th Senate. He is the current minority whip of the 10th Senate. Born in 1978, Senator Osita Ungu holds a bachelor's degree in engineering and an MSc from the University of Roehampton, London, with 15 years in the oil and gas industry. Senator Ungu progressed from a trainee engineer to an executive director, managing various projects in the upstream sector. In 2016, he ventured into entrepreneurship, transforming a 50 million naira business into a multi-billion naira enterprise with 533 employees. Ungu's commitment to humanity is evident in his philanthropy, especially towards Nigerian youth. Entering politics in 2018, he initially aimed for a House of Representatives seat, but graciously stepped down for the then incumbent. In 2023, he secured the PDP ticket for the Enugu West Senatorial District, winning by a significant margin in the primary election and subsequently clinching the win to represent Enugu West Senatorial District in the 10th Senate. Senator Ungu's popularity and extensive track record in various industries made his aspiration to become a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria highly plausible, promising to bring valuable experience to legislative duties for the benefit of his constituents and the nation. Little wonder then that his legislative interests includes oil and gas, youth development, and job creation.
This concludes our program for the week. Until we meet again, please share your questions and opinions through any of our feedback channels. Take care and see you next week.